everyone, welcome to the video. Here we're going to be looking at the power rule. So what we have here is if f of x equals x to the nth power, then the derivative is going to equal n times x to the n minus 1 power. So we'll jump right into our first problem here. So we have f of x equals x to the 6th. So we can just imagine a number 1 in front of x because the coefficient on x is just 1. So 6 times 1 is 6, so that's going to be the coefficient on our derivative. So we'll have 6x to the 5th power because we got to subtract 1 from the exponent. Okay, here's our next problem. F of x equals 4x cubed. So for the derivative, we're just going to multiply the exponent times the coefficient, so 3 times 4, so that'll give us 12, and then we'll have x, and then subtract 1 from the exponent, so 3 minus 1 is 2. So the derivative is 12x squared. Okay, for the next problem, we'll have f of x equals x squared plus 3x minus 2. So the power rule works the same even though we have 3 terms here in the function. You just apply it to each term. So 2 times 1 is 2, and then subtract 1 from the power. So we'll just have 2x. Plus, so we have 3x to the first power. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then we have x to the 0th. We'll come back to that in a minute. So here we have a term without any x's in it, so it's just a constant term. So the derivative is going to equal 0. Now anything to the 0th power is just going to equal 1. So we can just imagine a 1 here instead of x to the 0th. And 3 times 1 is just 3, so our derivative is going to equal 2x plus 3. Okay, here's another problem. X to the 5th and then squared. Well, that's just the same as saying x to the 5th times x to the 5th. So from here we can go ahead and write out each x inside the parentheses. And we don't really need our parentheses, so we can just think of it as a multiplication sign in the middle. So really what we have here is 10 x's all multiplied together. So that would equal x to the 10th. So x to the 5th squared, you just multiply 5 and 2 and you get 10, x to the 10th. And from here we can just do a simple power rule. 10 times 1 is 10. So we have 10x and subtract 1 from the power, so we'll have 9. And the derivative is 10x to the 9th. Here's another example. F of x equals 1 divided by the 4th root of x. Well, the 4th root is the same as saying the 1/4 power. So we can rewrite this as 1 divided by x to the 1/4 power. So from here we can go ahead and rearrange everything into the numerator, so that way we can go ahead and apply our power rule. So we can actually move our x to the 1/4 up to the numerator, but we just have to put a negative sign on the power. So we have x to the negative 1/4 power. And from here we can go ahead and apply our power rule. So negative 1/4 times the 1. So we'll have negative 1/4 x. And then we need to subtract 1 from our power. So we'll have negative 1/4 minus 1. So from here we're going to need a common denominator. So instead of writing minus 1, I'm just going to write 4 divided by 4. And that'll give us negative 5/4 for our power. Now from here we can do some simplifications, so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this to give ourselves some more room. So from here I'm going to leave our negative 1/4 alone, and you'll notice we have x to the negative 5/4. So we can actually go ahead and rearrange that as 1 divided by x to the 5/4. And then we're going to go ahead and multiply these fractions together, and that'll give us our derivative, which is negative 1 divided by 4x to the 5/4 power.